We're back with another episode of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. Devil Walk, we're running this back again.
Yeah.
We've been having late nights thanks to Dallas schedule. Group stage was a lot worse than playoff stage. Um, I obviously, last episode was trying to do the marathon from Kazakhstan to home. I
Yeah.
slept so much. Bro, I got back to Ukraine at like 4 in the morning Ukraine time, and I left Kazakhstan time at like 6 a.m., woke up at 5 a.m. I think I slept 45 minutes after we filmed the last episode. This
It's,
last
I,
week has been a mess.
it's actually crazy you even tried to sleep. I think
Wait,
that's.
every minute counts. Every minute.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess sleeping on a plane, even though it's sleep, isn't that nice.
No, no way.
So, but you're alive and well. You're back home. So
Hmm.
we don't have any kind of deadline we have to run past, or like we have to
No.
jam this in a 2 hour set time or anything like that. So we can take our time,
Yep.
prepare a little bit
Pace our way
more,
through
and
it.
yeah, just chill.
Enjoy. Enjoy the episode. Chill. Go through it step by step. What have you been up to this week?
So this week, yesterday was Mother's Day.
Oh,
So
wait a sec. Mother's Day in Sweden, yeah?
yeah,
Mother's Day. Wait a second. I'm just checking. I think I've already done this. Mother's Day in UK 2025. I think I already
I
had
don't
the
think it's the
celebration.
same day.
Yeah, I remember I've already done this day. Yeah, it was on the 30th of
Yeah,
March. That's
I
fine.
almost had a heart attack
Bro, when you
right
say
there.
this, when you say this, I was thinking, how? Like, she should have definitely messaged me if I fucked this up. No, we're all good.
Yeah, you're all
No
good. You're
angry
all good.
mother.
So yeah, visiting my mother for Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Just chill. Had some, kind of a cake and homemade cinnamon buns in the
Did you
sun
make
with some
it?
coffee. No, my mother, obviously.
Oh, your mother made it
Uh,
on Mother's Day. Good
yes,
son you
yes.
are. Brilliant.
I mean, she likes to do that. She likes to bring all the kids back and have a little bit of a classic homemade buns for us to have
Question
kind of
though.
a fika.
How do you do this? Do you go spend half the day with your girlfriend's mum and then half the day of yours? Do you both just go off to your own mothers? How does this plan? How do you balance
As
this?
well, in in uh, in my relationship, her mother lives like hours away, so we
Oh,
can't
okay.
really visit for specifically just Mother's Day. So
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
sent like flowers to her, and we
Ah,
did
lovely.
some like, yeah, online service, and we visited my mother in this case because we live in the same city.
See, it's really easy for me because Ukrainian Mother's Day is not the same day as UK's Mother's Day. So ours perfectly works out. So we do
Well,
her
that's
one on that
yeah.
day, my one on my day. No problem at all. Everything's nice and smooth. Dude, Counter Strike right now is looking good. So let's get us into this. I'll do my usual, actual, normally open of how we do this. It is the 26th of May, 2025 that we are filming this. It is 4:53 p.m. for me here in Ukraine, which means it is 3:53 p.m. for Devilwalk. And you still have continuous sun, right, where you live?
Yeah,
It
it's
looks like that.
starting to be that way. Right now, there's not much sun. It's very gray. It's rainy.
Oh, really?
It's
You have rain?
yeah, it's pretty bad. Uh, but we had a few really nice days. I actually went out with my girlfriend just after she quit work. We went to like a boat, had a few beers, had a few drinks, had some lunch.
Nice.
And it felt like there was no cold winds.
Yeah.
Usually at the start of summer we can sometimes get very very cold kind of air while the sun is pretty hot, but that day was absolutely perfect. I think it was like 24, 25 degrees,
Nice.
so we were
I got
loving
21
life.
right now. I got
Yeah.
21, so it's pretty good. No complaints. Everything is nice. And now to get into the Counter Strike and where we start, we got to touch on all things Dallas. Now, you wrote down to review this of who we thought would go through to playoffs. So
Yeah.
let's start with this because let's bring this up. Where did you write mine down? So
So yeah.
I said Vitality G2 Furia from Group A. And then from Group B, I said Falcons, Mouse, FaZe. Now, Group B, not so bad. I believed in FaZe. I believed in Simple. And Group A, well, Furia were obviously struggling with coming back over from Kazakhstan, and it didn't work out so well. Vitality was my only safe bet. You, on the other hand, though, read yours out. You were pretty much perfect.
Well, not perfect, but
Almost.
close. So I had Vitality, Mongols, and Furia from Group A. So obviously we had Gamer Legion coming through for that
Hmm.
first spot where I did not get Furia right. And on Group B, I had Mouse, Falcons first place, Mouse second, and Aurora. So I pretty much nailed Group B if we take away the placings we fought.
Yeah, yeah. We just look
Um,
at who made it.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that kind of reflected in what became the grand finals later, which we also did predict.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, pretty hard event to watch at times. I tried to catch all the like first couple of games. Then it went way into the night, and it was really
Yeah.
difficult for me to kind of change my sleeping schedule just to um, watch the games essentially. So I
Hmm.
try to kind of check the results, kind of check what went on when I woke up instead. So I pretty much have an idea of the opening games, and then it falters a little bit in the pure in-game knowledge, but I know the results, right?
Yeah, yeah, you have to have a look through it all. I think that was the thing with Dallas, especially on the first days of groups. I remember day one. Oh my god, they had more tech problems than anyone could have imagined. Like
Yeah,
tech pauses, tech problems, delays. It was kind of messy, and it got to a couple of times where, like, for me, obviously, I'm an hour ahead of you, right? So it's 3 in the morning, games are still going on, and I'm like, "I gotta go to bed." I can't stay awake any longer. My eyes were actually just closing while doing it. But,
yeah,
that's part of it when we have events in America. We kind of the same for the major as well. I think for the major, you can motivate yourself to stay awake a bit more longer. I think
yeah,
we touched on this before that some teams didn't really care too much about this Dallas, more test some things out, practice some things, get some extra official reps in there. Um The interesting thing, I don't think there was too many big disappointments in this event. I feel like I'll start with Liquid as my first disappointment and see what you think of this
all
because
right.
Liquid beat FaZe in the opening game. They lost to Mouse and they lost to Aurora. I have no problem with them losing 2-0 to Mouse. Obviously, it's Shuhei's old team. But I do have a problem with losing 2-0 to Aurora. Like, for
Well, I'll
me,
have to say first to chime in there. This is not a
yeah,
playoff Aurora. This is a group stage Aurora.
who
They're a
was
much
terrible in
bigger threat.
Astana. But they were
Yeah,
terrible in Astana.
but they always make playoff.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I at least expected more fight from Liquid. I remember
Well,
watching this game and thinking, this is bad signs for Liquid going into the major. Like, this is not positive at all. That was
no,
an
I mean,
underwhelming performance.
also with Aurora, coming back from an event where
Yeah.
they were at Astana, right? So they didn't have that much, time to kind of get into things. I'm sure Liquid was their way before, if I'm not sure. But either way, Liquid, they're at a time where excuses are gonna be kind of thrown away for them, and
Yeah.
this is the time where they kind of need to start to perform, try to showcase, that they could compete, they can compete. Because as it looks right now, obviously Aurora is a good draw for them. Especially if you look at the bracket, if they would have beaten Aurora, gotten heroic in a lower bracket final for that playoff spot, would have
Yeah.
been, pretty much perfect conditions for them to prove their point. Didn't end up that way, so I think there's still a little bit in me that just says a little bit more time, but the threads holding that all together are very thin right now.
Yeah. And it's like you've had time with Shuhei now. Yeah. sometimes get an ultimate that comes online. This is the biggest thing people have been critical about him is his inconsistencies. This was a game where he wasn't able to show himself in the best steps forward. Um, I don't know. It's no shame in losing to Aurora. It's just the way they lost to Aurora, which is my problem. I want to see more from them. I don't know what I assume maybe they stay in America unless they decide to go back to Europe. I'll try find out. But from Liquid side, 9th to 12th is not a great performance overall. Um, Furia, I want to come to next. I'm leaving the phase one because we'll come to that. That'll take a bit more detail.
Yeah.
Furia, it's not the end of the world because
No.
you get Mongols in the first game. Mongols were able to leave Kazakhstan a little bit earlier than Furia. Furia arrived 5 hours before their game, just for you to know. 5 hours before they had to play is when they
Well,
touched
then
down.
it's completely acceptable to lose to pretty much anyone.
Yeah, so they lost the Mongols, and it wasn't like I wouldn't say it was a competitive game, but it was. Mongols always a tough team for Fury anyway, the previous iterations. But I will say that like they had the biggest excuse possible. 5 hours from landing in Dallas to playing your first game. There's going to be obviously, I think they probably most. This is my guess. I'm guessing they would have had to have some photos taken and stuff. For they
Yeah.
were not at media, um, and then they run in and get all this done. So that's tough. They beat Lin Vision 2-0. It is Lin Vision, right? We said sometimes they can be deadly on a map or two. The Chinese teams do have that ability, but that's a good one. And then falling to Gamer Legion, that's nothing to be like. Train, I felt like was a map that could have gone either way. Mirage, Furia dominated. Actually, who popped? I can't remember who it was that popped off. Yeah, it was Molodoi and Yakinda popping off on Mirage. And then Nuke, I felt like Game Legion pretty much had control as soon as they swung onto the CT side. So
Mm.
I'll say it's a. I'm not disappointed with Furia, and I believe because I think Fallen lives or he has a house in Miami. I saw an Instagram story of Fallen driving Molodoi and Jakinda around with the roof down on the car. Um, I'm guessing they'll just stay prior to the major in America and boot camp there. Some teams are actually doing that,
Yeah.
especially where they're in stage two, for example. So
Makes
when you're
sense.
playing, yeah, it's like don't go back just for a bit of practice to then come forward again. That's fair enough in there. 3D Max, by the way, I didn't see all of their games, I'll admit that, but I'm not sure what to think anymore of these guys. A team that on paper has potential to be playing good and getting to playoffs. Every game, there was a fight from them, all three maps in there. It's just, I don't know, something's still missing for these guys. Body's interview that he did with Freya at the end of the series against G2 was just, it just felt sad. It felt very sad.
I mean, if you look at it, like, okay, if we're gonna touch on 3D Max, I kind of view them as, I don't know. For me, they have a feel of a forever top 15, top 20 team. Uh,
Not breaking through.
yeah, because they've been in this like kind of tier for so long, like different
Yeah.
iterations of players, different teams, but they've always been in kind of the same category of team. They have these kind of up and downs. Sometimes they do look to show promise. They do look competitive,
Mhm.
but they're consistently in that where they can take one map of a good team, but they can never really grasp that second one and actually make it far into a tournament.
Mhm.
And if I look at the players, I just don't see how are they going to compete against some of the best teams in the world right now. Like they have a lot of like good role players. They have a lot of pieces that they're stable, they're consistent enough to do a good job, but they're not
Yep.
going to be that kind of person that we take the worst example or the best example, wherever we want to prefer. Vitality, who has like every single player on the board. I could bet money and put money on that they would win 1v3s, 1v4s during a game, right? I'm not sure I can do that with so many of these players, right?
Mhm.
In 3D Max. So I think that's kind of the big thing is they don't really have a star player. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So I don't really see the X factor, what's gonna push them forward. So I think that's they're too almost too consistent of a team in a weird
Mhm.
way.
I think with me for 3D Max, if they can unlock, like you said, they don't have a consistent star, right? They don't have someone out there who is the star player who can change the game around for them. Teamwork definitely seems to be there, even with Body. I
Yeah,
think that was an improvement. When Body came in, you saw some improvements being made, and it's a step in the right direction. I just feel like one player change, if there is someone in France who can be a next, I'm not saying like a Zywoo or something, but like, someone who is a real hot prospect for the future. If they can find that French player, that could be the thing that unlocks them. They'd obviously have to
yeah,
take a bit of a hit with his experience at the start, but that's probably something that's what's needed to go to the next step because I'm not sure what else they can do within that. So
yeah.
I'm not going to say it's disappointing for them, but maybe ninth to 12th is okay for where they're at right now. As I said, the Body interview was kind of just sad, and they know they've got a lot they need to work on before they go into the major again. Um, After that, I'm still skipping phase for now. I'm not
All
touching
right.
on BC Game because BC Game had a stand in. Legacy, I didn't expect much. NRG, it doesn't matter that it was in Dallas, it's a North American side. I didn't expect much from them and Lin Vision either. I'm ignoring those teams down there. That's just like these are the
You can
teams I
touch on a
expected at the
gamer
bottom.
legion making it through.
Well, we get to playoffs in a bit, right? I'm
All
not
right.
touching on playoffs. I'm doing all the stuff before playoffs. So Heroic, they were very lucky that they got Aurora off the back of a plane journey as well, coming from Kazakhstan in the first game. It was still a tight series. Heroic even beat them on Anubis. Obviously, this is the full team of Heroic right now. Youngstar was the one stepping up. There was a lot of shouting going on in that game because Xfloud, obviously, he knows the Aurora guys, a little Turkish rivalry in there.
Yep.
There's history. Um, Jota obviously used to play with Xcloud as well. He used to be there with these guys. So I think let me just if I'm right, it was Jota was on loan to Sangal. Yeah, he was on loan to Sangal from Eternal Fire and then Eternal Fire Academy, should I say? And then he came through, so they brought him back. This was a big win for Heroic. There are other games in there. 3 maps against Falcons, 3 maps
That's
against FaZe, and
respectable.
actually beating FaZe. And it's the way they beat FaZe, which was impressive. An overtime game at the very end and they win it out over the top of it. People can touch on the fact that yes, it's Simple's first time with FaZe and Skull's there instead of Rain, but that's a win that Heroic can be proud of. Then they get a rematch against Aurora in the lower bracket to go to playoffs. And this is obviously Aurora now a bit more refreshed. No Anubis in there. Heroic removed it. It wasn't picked in this time. And Aurora showed that we can be the better team. We will take the win here in this kind of situation. But I'll
Yeah,
I'll say I saw positive signs from Heroic for them going into the major, and I feel like they're one of the teams that 100% should be making it through quite comfortably in that first stage of the major.
yeah. Just before we move on my thoughts about, did you see the heroic versus Falcons? I can't remember if it was like youngster who said some quote that
Oh, in the
uh
interview, yeah, he said like Nico and Manasi don't work hard or something.
no, it was like, we're here to prove that hard work pays off and it's not about how much money you have or something like that. Like something
Was
along
that
those
no, wait?
lines.
Now we need to bring this up. I remember reading something, and now I need to see it. Is it
Yeah.
here? Let's look. Let's
I'm pretty sure Monesi responded after beating them. Just a little
look.
bit more hard work.
Okay, okay. Wait a sec. Let's find youngster news. Is there HLTV's
So
website needs to have a better search function.
so there's definitely a little bit of drama coming into that game. But yeah, as you said, heroic. I think this is a great showing for them. I think they've been kind of away from these tournaments for a little bit, and
Yeah,
showing up here and still, proving a point. They're one map away from a playoff spot. I think that's pretty good considering, there's a 16 team tournament and only 6 teams go to playoff, which both you and me, we're not big fans of the 6-player
That can
bracket.
change though, right? So, I was going to touch on this when we get to playoffs, but you started to mention it.
All right.
My biggest problem with this is ESL could make such a good change. Their format's not terrible. PGL definitely have the best format right now, but if ESL want to keep this format, at least give us 8 teams in playoffs. That would change
Yeah.
everything. And give us 8 teams in playoffs, all play from quarters, and that would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I
That would
agree.
be okay. That's a huge win. This going through to semis, I don't like. It's not the same thing. I don't think it should be there. I don't want to see that. So I'm still trying to find this. Where did he say this? Was it not on HLTV after all?
I think I saw like either a post
Yeah.
or something on Reddit. That's where I think I've seen it.
Doesn't help that
Um,
this kid spells his name funny. Every
I'll
time I
try
go to
to
write his
scroll
name.
through and find it for you, but it's probably gonna take a little bit of time. Maybe I shouldn't have brought this up so that we could have been more prepared.
Yeah, that would have helped. Oh,
There's
here we
learning
go. Here we
curves.
go. It was on
You found it?
dust2.us, and he says, "We're here to prove hard work beats money."
Ah, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Let me just search this bit. Our team is hungry as always. We're here to prove that hard work beats money. So we're motivated. We're not giving too much respect to them because we'd lose confidence. So we're treating every opponent equally. By the way, this is why I thought he said it about Manasi and Nico, but that is I understand, like the way I took this when he said work beats money. Manasi and Nico are two incredibly hard workers, like all
yeah.
the time. So
That's why
obviously
they're
they're going to
worth a
take
lot of
that
money.
fucking personally. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I love it. He's 20, right? He's got to flex his muscles a little bit, pump his chest out, and say something like that. But then when you take the L, you got to take all the shit that comes with it
Yeah, but
afterwards.
I'm always, by the way, even though we want drama and all this stuff in CS, I think it's a from a tactical point of view, it's a
Hmm.
pretty I always think it's a pretty terrible thing to hype up the opponents to give them like extra motivation to beat
Yeah.
you. Because if someone said it doesn't even matter if it's true, if it's not true, it doesn't matter. If someone is talking about you, you want to beat them more. That's just it.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. You want to beat them more, and you want to see them kind of uh, fall on their own words, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's the greatest idea to kind of give that extra edge and motivation to Falcons going into a game like that, but fair play for having the balls to say it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. He's trying, bless him. He is trying with it. I love a bit of it, the drama going through. And I know Monacy interview was laughing as well. So that's it, you know, he proved it to himself afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, let's get on to G2, and then I'll circle back to phase if that's good with you. So G2 got Lim Vision in the opening game. Absolutely monstrous start from G2. Zero problems at all there. The Mongols game, I will say, was a bit worrying. Remember, this isn't G2 with Taz playing, this is Hades playing. But no one stepped up. And we have some of these games where G2 are just hard countered, not sharp enough. The 3D Max game, they still had to work for it as well. And this is what I don't understand. Inferno for me had previously looked like Malbs was not comfortable in how he was playing, especially on the CT side. He wasn't having the same impact, right? They start off on Inferno and Snacks had a god game, but Malbs was there just right behind him. This looked great. So when I saw that, I was like, cool. G2, it's nice. I don't care about that Mongols game anymore. You're going to do well. And then it just got dragged out. They can't win Dust 2 again. They've had quite a lot of problems on Dust 2, despite it being a map that they're picking into. Um, it was a win in the end over 3D Max, but it could have felt like a loss considering how well they started there.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is GT obviously crushing them on Inferno, which was 3D Max's pick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could have been in real trouble. But still, you know, I don't know really how to judge G2 at this point. They lost like two of their biggest players in quite a short
Yeah.
amount of time. Uh, There's rumors going around about changes still. They're playing with a stand-in.
Yep.
I don't really know how to judge them because it seems to be pretty chaotic over at that camp. With, not only that, Malbs was having kind of like a, I don't know if I should phrase it like a depressive kind
Oh, his
of
tweets and stuff. Yeah.
points. So he had kind of a rough period as well with his own performances. So in some sense, I kind of want to say that this is like a good performance from G2 considering all the mess,
Hmm.
but you still expect G2 to do better, to be up there.
Yeah.
Kind of spoiled by the old G2, who's the main stars now are in Falcons. So it's tough judging them right now because there's so much going around G2 and so much has been focused around G2 for the last few months,
Hmm.
essentially.
And then their game to try and make it to playoffs, I honestly thought they would win against the Game Legion they went up against. Every game was competitive. Every game could have been either way,
Yeah.
right? There was so much in it. It's so funny if you look, right, do it by all maps on match stats on HRTV. You'll look at this and you'll see the ratings of some of the G2 players. You look at like plus 12 for Malbs, plus 9 for Heavy God, plus 7 for Hades, yeah. And you think, oh, G2 won this game. Nope. The better team won, even with Acor standing in. So both teams had a stand in. Both teams' AWPers were the ones that had stand ins.
Yeah, that's a special scenario.
This was a crazy scenario to be in. And like pound for pound, when you look at the individuals, you would say with the experience, yeah, and the potential firepower, that G2 would have an advantage in this one, but it was so back and forth. This was a great game to see who would go through to the playoffs and who would be eliminated. And it does, I'll say, I would be more nervous for G2 if they were in stage 2 of the major, but they're a straight to stage 3, which means they get to go back to Europe, really practice even more and work out their mistakes with Hades. Yeah. Because remember, Hunter wasn't there last time around in Kazakhstan, so they didn't get enough time to see how this would play out. Now they've got a few weeks to prepare for the major and show their best foot forward. But right now, what you see of them, I'm not expecting too much.
I mean,
Um,
if we're gonna be honest, G2 with probably Liquid is the two weakest teams in stage three by far.
yeah, yeah,
And it's not close. They're not competing with anyone else but themselves.
yeah. I'm glad you didn't
Navi
say
is
Navi.
higher rated up there for me. They're not that bad
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank you. That's
So
all I need to hear.
so I think it's going to be tough for them. Um, yes, you might see it as an advantage. We're in stage three already,
Mhm,
but they're going to have to do a lot of work if they're going to beat momentum. Like imagine this underdog story. They have bunch of momentum. They go into stage three. They get G2. It's going to be a blessing in disguise for like a super blessing for them. The-
mhm.
it's going to be hard for G2 to do some work from there. So I think it's maybe even a disadvantage they don't get to warm up a few games. They could
Yeah.
be shell shocked as they go into stage three.
All right, lastly, before we get to playoffs then, phase time. I left phase till last because Rain obviously was having his baby. A huge congratulations to him and his wife. Second raindrop. So he needs 3 more babies to create a Counter-Strike team and he can coach that team. And I think that would be amazing. It obviously will need to get older in time as well, so he's still got plenty of time to play. But
In CS4.
yeah, it could be CS4 by that time as well. Um, Simple's debut against Liquid was individually good. I've listened to the
Yep.
voice com video that FaZe released afterwards. It's on Carrigan's YouTube channel, and his communication is good. The tilt, maybe they edited it out. It wasn't all voice comms, but like it didn't seem super bad. I just
Oh,
feel like you lost 13-10 on both maps. Um, there were chances to win it. You could see them at times just looking a bit lost. I'm not going to blame Scholes just because he's the lowest rated player. Like he's in a very tough position. I just feel like if you're frozen and leash, you need to be backing up a bit more, you know? putting a bit more authority on the match itself.
So I caught this game, right? I think
Mhm.
one of the big takeaways for me is was a very scrappy game. It wasn't clean cut Counter Strike. It was very, you know, uh, almost poor individual decisions a lot of the times. I think FaZe kind of lost it because they were a little bit over eager. I think they had control. I think if I remember correctly, on Ancient there was, I think they won pistol, or it was something. It
Ancient,
was
they won
some
pistol, got the
kind
first
of
2 rounds CT side.
yeah, but I think it was like they won pistol, they won like a force buy against them, and then it was like a semi pistol buy or something like that from Liquid, and they just kind of
Mm.
blundered
Oh, it was the
completely on the
Deagles. It was the
CT, yeah,
Deagles, wasn't it?
on
Yeah.
banana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and it was just like it felt so weird. It was like T's weren't really doing anything. It was just CTs running into the Eagles at this point. Like
Yeah.
T's didn't really do anything, and it felt like they could have a lot of the times went together or peaked together from utility when they had it to kind of isolate duels or get into a better position. So that's why I say it was a very scrappy game. It didn't feel like anyone really had control in any round. It just felt like, okay, one or two duels is gonna decide this.
Mhm.
Um, but I have to say, Simple did look pretty good. I think he had a lot of good rounds impact, but you could definitely see this his decision making isn't like 100%.
Yeah.
Um, and I still think that, you have to judge it from that point of view, that it's his first tournament back. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people, this, oh, the goat is back, and all of a
Dude, the
sudden,
viewership.
respect.
The
Yeah, that was
viewership.
insane.
He broke the records for, like, a group stage event, definitely Dallas events, but, like, everyone was watching. It was over 800K across all the channels. Everyone was tweeting. All focus was on Simple. No other player in Counter Strike can do that.
No,
No other player has that pull.
not at all. But
That's where the goat status is real because everyone's excited to see him and see what he can do, and just to see him back on the server. That's impact.
yes, it is. But it also is. You can see the signs. They're gonna need a few extra days of practice. They're gonna have to iron these things out because they did not look clean. Like they didn't have the connections on the server, which is understandable. But
Yep.
I think if we get that, if we can get Simple and this phase kind of chiming together, I think it can look really, really good. And I think they would have smashed this game if they would have had a 2 week boot camp beforehand, going into this matchup.
Yeah, a bit more time overall.
Yeah.
They did then smash BC Game. Um, it's BC Game with a stand-in. It is BC Game who's not even close to the level of the players. If you compare it one for one. Simple did farm in that game. I don't think we need to touch on that too much. It's the heroic game where I feel like Simple is lucky that Skulls is standing in for before he gets judged too harshly. But this was not a great game from him. In every map, he looked kind of lost. Even if you had Frozen or Elise playing well, Simple was not there. I don't know how he was so nerfed in this heroic game. I don't know what happened, but what we saw in the previous 2 games, even the game against Liquid, which is a good team, did not show up against heroic. And this was your game to obviously fight for your survival. Could have had a chance of then going from there and getting through to playoffs.
Yeah. Uh, but I still think it's kind of the same deal. It's too scrappy. They don't really know what's going on, and I understand Simple is gonna be like all over the place. If he
Mhm.
gets momentum, he gets a good start, I'm sure he can shine. But it's not really about that. I think a lot of players they kind of need that. Okay, I'm not on my A game right now. Simple probably
Yeah.
never had that problem where he's, oh, I'm not on my A game and I need to fall back and I kind of need to take a different approach. So I think if he just gets a little bit more time, this can be good. But this is impressive from Heroic as well.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
go in there, they don't give respect to Simple, they don't give
None. They were not
anything like
scared.
that. Yeah.
They were
So
never scared.
so in that sense, I think that's a great kind of mental point for heroic that they can take with them. Doesn't matter who they play against. We played against Simple, one of the greatest of all times. Even if it's not the best version of him, I think it's still
Doesn't
something you can
matter.
take in your
If
back
you're already a
pocket
player on the other
and go.
team, you're going to
Yeah,
be motivated from that. You're going to be like, hell yeah, I'm going against the
you
GOAT.
can
Let
tell
me
your
show what I
friends
got.
when you go out drinking, "I beat Simple," and that's all you need to.
I beat Simple and I made him look humble.
Yeah,
The great thing here for FaZe, by the way, I'm not sure. I'll get your opinion on this because they're in stage 2 of the major, not stage 3.
yeah.
Because obviously how poor things were for FaZe. They're staying in Dallas. They're staying at the old Complexity facility, which is obviously now owned by the owners of FaZe. Um, they're boot camping there, and he's been streaming a bit. He's been playing a lot of games. Rain's going to be back now as well. I think maybe he's there already. I'm not too sure. Obviously, his baby's just been born. Spent some time with the wife, and then it's major time. He's got to get over to there. That's
Yeah,
part
and
of
I
the
think
job
I
of it
think
all.
one of the biggest reasons Simple has always wanted to play with Rain, so I think that's one of the.
Well, Rain's the one that asked him. Remember, Rain's the one
Yeah.
that contacted him.
So I think that connection can definitely help. They seem to have a good connection. They seem to
Good
like
vibes.
spend
We
time
like the
together, and I
vibes.
think that's something that really, I think it's important for Simple. I think it's important for Face to have Rain there for those vibes, so to say.
Yeah.
Um, I think they can have a lot more fun, and if that happens, they get a little bit more relaxed. I hope they can do a good major. I think it's still they don't have that much time, but I hope
Mhm.
that Simple can kind of get up there because I think it all points towards him if they're gonna have a good tournament or not.
Well, look at the teams in stage 2. Obviously, we'll do later episodes of the podcast for
Yeah,
everyone watching that we will cover on the major stuff. We'll at the end of this show, by the way, we'll tell you who our next guest is, which is a big one, and we'll tell you how the plan is going for the next episodes, what we're doing for the major. But trust me, it's special for us here. But just look at the teams that they're going up
they
against.
should beat everyone except
This,
Falcons.
this is what I would say, except Falcons and maybe Virtus Pro, given the day. You know,
Yeah,
it's the
but
Virtus
yeah,
Pro's an any day kind of team. Some days they can 13-0 phase, other days they can get 13-0'd.
yeah, but I think expectations wise, they're probably in the top two spacing of that group.
Mhm.
So I think being in stage two is probably an advantage for FaZe if they want to
Yeah,
make it far into this tournament. They're gonna have like
grow with every game.
medium level teams to warm up with, and then go straight into the big boys of the vitalities and stuff in the next stage if
Yeah.
they make it through, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot to play for, a lot to look at with it.
Yeah,
Um, let's look at the playoff bracket because again, we've already said this. Playoff bracket is very sad for ESL events. Just two teams already in semis. This time it was Vitality and Mouse, not Falcons and Vitality, like many expected. So that put Falcons on the same side of the bracket as Vitality. Game Legion made it through. Aurora and Mongols made it through. Bro, Mongols and Aurora are playing against each other all the time.
but it's so funny because both of them are like struggling to even get a playoff win, and they're
The
playing
choke
each other
teams.
and farming the
Yep.
playoff wins.
Yep. That's how they get it.
But it is. I did think that Mongols did look a lot better this event. It looked like they regained some energy, even though they're obviously still on the kind of
Every event. Aurora's had a
every
break,
event
but Mongols
grind.
haven't. Mongols
Yeah,
have said no to nothing. Mongols are like, invite, invite, let me go, let me
invite.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
So
coming another
maybe it
event.
is sleeping on the plane the day before that is kind of the magic for the Mongols.
Bro, do you know what I'll say sad about this game? Is on the Dust 2, there was definitely chances Aurora could have won that map. 100%. The better team won in the end. Mongols played really well. It was so back and forth, and it was like, it was at 10-10 when then the next round went to Aurora. I thought, okay, you can gain something here. You can get going. And then straight after, it was coming right down to the wire. It was, even if they were losing so many entries on Mongol side, the teamwork was pulling them over the line. The thing that got me the most is Aurora can play Mirage, I don't know what happened. Did they mentally think that they messed up so badly on Dust 2 that they were just screwed on Mirage? Because they were down 11-1, and then the scoreline ended 13-6. And people asked me, like, oh, that it wasn't that bad for Aurora. That was terrible. That was worrying signs. I don't care if it's on playoff stages. Questions have got to be asked about, for example, Woxig's Antares. I think it was Freya asked Madger, what is it like for you when you look to the left and right and you see like your stars, Antares and Woxig, not able to do what you need to do? Obviously, it's hard for him, right? But it's like this team, the potential is there. Both these teams, Mongols and Aurora, need some sort of psychologist or mental coach. It's because it's a night and day difference in what can happen game to game.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their combined frags on the T side of Mirage, I think 18, 21, 26, 28 frags in total in 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So averaging two free kills per round. Still, they probably should be posting a little bit better than having one T side round. And I think, that just kills the game, right? It doesn't matter if they claw back and do.
Yeah, but a thing that annoys me here is Madger said to me at Astana, we had time off, um, between where they played in Astana, that they would be able to rework the playbook a bit. He's got some new things they wanted to do. I'm still seeing the same plays. I personally, maybe I'm just stupid, but I don't see big differences. Maybe he's adjusted some very small micro details, but it's not enough to change like the predictability of them to know how they're going to play out rounds, how they're going to end rounds, and that's the Aurora problem right now because they
Yeah,
keep
I think.
saying they want to go for a trophy. Well, it's like it's not even stage warriors. It's like you could easily prepare for them, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I know they've got Faber the coach, but I don't know about if they've got analysts. I don't know if they've got. I don't think they've got a psychologist. I've never seen one with them.
I'm pretty sure they
These are the
do
kind
have
of things they need.
analysts.
Yeah, they got an analyst.
I'm pretty certain. I don't know since they
Okay.
switched to Aurora, but they definitely had analysts. But we touched a little bit on that kind of where I think they are kind of spawn callers,
Yeah.
and that probably is one of the major factors that they need something, and it's not an easy problem to fix.
Hmm.
I personally, I've never been a big fan of kind of spawn calling. It
You
for
said that last
me
time. Yeah.
shows that you are the worst team in some sense that you cannot rely on individuals' decision making to win
Hmm.
rounds. Um, if you look at the big teams, I don't think any of them are really spawn callers. They take things on the fly. They take they decide timings on the fly. They have big game players who dictate pacing of things. So it doesn't look like that to me with Aurora. I think they need to mix it up. And I'm not saying they you can't spawn call, by the way. That's not really the issue. I think they need to be able to execute some of the rounds that they are doing,
Yeah.
give the pattern of what they want to achieve to trick opponents and make reads and kill rotation kills while they're doing it. It can't just be we're ending here on this specific timing. They gave us mid, now
Hmm.
we're ending B, or they gave us this and we end up there. It becomes a little bit too robotic. And I think the more you play a team like that, the more you're gonna recognize the timings.
Yeah.
Um, and it just becomes harder and harder for you.
But overall, Mongols can be happy with their performance, right? They should be definitely
Yep.
pleased with that again. Getting revenge on Aurora after Astana playing back to back in playoffs as well. Just the way it goes. The other match we had on the quarterfinals was Falcons taking on Gamer Legion. Even with Acor as a stand-in player, they did better than they last played on stage against Falcons. When we look back to Melbourne, and they got absolutely, what's the score in Melbourne? It was 13-4, 13-3. They didn't stand a chance. The first event for Munsey on that team. Um, I don't know. For me, it's I don't look at it as any negative signs for Falcons. It's just Nuke. I felt like if Nico was able to, I'm not going to say it's Nico's fault, but if Nico was able to play just to a fraction more of his normal level, they probably would have won that and won the series 2-0.
Yeah.
Like Game Legion had a way in because Nico was not able to shine like he normally does. Like Nico to me is such a great nuke player, and I always think of like him and Muncie G2 moments playing together. I want to see some more of that. Didn't happen this time around. Tesses, by the way, continuing to show why he definitely should not be the player to go from this team. This guy is consistent, man. I
He
am,
has
I
he
am,
has
I
he
am
has these
fanboying.
rounds. Yeah, he's really really good, and he's really good in these like fast paced spray down situations where he just flicks on to the next guy. A lot of chaotic rounds, he just kind of bails them out. Uh, I think Tessus is a great addition in this Falcon squad, and I think,
Yeah,
as you say, he's cemented himself in the lineup, um, and he
has
just
to be.
keeps on growing because he used to always have this problem with being in the old heroic kind of days where he would never perform in playoffs. He would never be able to
Yep.
bail them out, kind of fall flat alongside his teammates. And now we're seeing a different version of him, and
Yeah.
he's popping entries, he's clutching, he's doing it all at this time. And yeah, just as you say, it's super impressive, and it's really really nice to see someone kind of take that journey.
I'll say on the Game Legion thing. I don't know if you have any takes here, but
I
I'm
have
worried
some.
for Slend because I think Slend is okay. He's had some consistency issues, but I'll say I don't have a problem with Slend. But if you're making playoffs even without him, just imagine like Acor didn't put up great numbers in this game against Falcons, 0.79 rating. But like imagine if you had a more consistent, more competent AWPer who's in your system. Game Legion could then crack the code to taking that next step they want to have. And surely we know how smart Ash is. That's got to be on his mind as well.
Yeah, I mean there has been rumors around, nothing confirmed, that they're looking at other players, and that maybe that's why he's not there, that they're maybe even trialing out people. Uh but it's hard to kind of, I don't know if they're trialing people in practice, but that this might be a trial period, for example, a stand-in period. But these are just very unconfirmed rumors.
Mm.
Um, but I look at Gamer Legion right now, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have a new system for them. A new,
Oh.
if this Swiss system, they're going straight in my 0-3 bucket.
What?
If it's group stage, they're going straight to playoff from now on. Because that's what they've been doing. Every time it's a normal Group A, Group B system, they're going to playoff. If it's
Wait, wait,
Swiss,
wait. But what about
they
there's PGL Bucharest that wasn't the case? That was Swiss system.
well, I don't care. This is my new system for Gamer Legion. That was just a one-off, obviously. They're gonna have Seed 9 every Swiss system, and they're going straight in my 0-3.
So they need to break past the Seed 9 curse VRS system and then they
Well,
won't be
they need to
0-3.
pray that the Swiss system is thrown away from the system, and then they're like a top
But I
five
think it's the
team.
I think it's the best system we have. Oh no.
Well,
Oh man.
if it's only Swiss system, they're a top 20 team for me.
Top 20. That's an ouch. That's an ouch, DW. Oh.
That's it. Just look, this is what happens.
Other than Bucharest. I'm
Other
counting
than
that one in there.
Bucharest.
Other than Bucharest. Was a complete studio environment though. Um, Going on to semi-finals, we'll start with Maus taking on Mongols. Mongols, by the way, getting so much love in the crowd. They were Dallas's chosen team this time around. Last time it was all about G Stew. This time it was about Americans, Mongols, or the
But
Mongols of America.
okay, you kind of triggered me here because I do
Oh, here we
have a
go.
little bit of a point against the Dallas crowd in this episode, because I thought,
Oh,
okay,
oh,
I think I
okay,
think it's fine, having some fun, you have some banter, all that stuff. I think it's
yeah.
fine. You're rooting for another team, but the excessive booing they were doing, come on, man. It was too much. I mean, even after this game, Spinks is
Mm.
standing on stage and they're just continuously booing him. I thought that was a little bit tasteless, honestly.
Yeah, that's when Darth should have said something like, "Come on, guys, like stop."
But he did, he
That's where
did.
as
He was like,
oh,
"Come
did he
on,
say it?
guys."
Okay, he
Yeah,
tried to
yeah,
cheer
he
him on.
did.
I didn't see this bit because I'm thinking like, if anyone's to do it, he's an American himself. He can control it. Did they stop? Were they nicer?
Well, some toned down a little bit. It wasn't as loud booing, but they were still booing. And I think, the
Why
mouse
were
players
they booing
probably.
Mao's though?
I have no
What
idea.
like
There's no
Mao?
reason. I think it was only because they loved Mongols for
Yeah, but
whatever
Mao's is
reason.
like the least team you should hate. Like I don't know anything that would make me hate the Mao's team.
No, I have honestly, I have no clue. I understand the Apex thing, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's just funny. And Apex
they,
can
they,
take it.
they, I think Apex, yeah, exactly as you say, Apex can take it. I mean, Mouse,
Yeah.
I don't know, they're pretty young guys, pretty young team. Um, I don't know. It felt a little bit too much for me at some points with the
So
with the booing. I much rather prefer the kind
mhm.
of Astana way where they were just loving life and cherishing Counter Strike in some sense than having the booing part.
Well, see, I'm kind of a part counter to you here because I
Yeah,
was stage host for the Dallas crowd 2 years in a row. Last year it was Mike. This year it was Mike. I wasn't there at all. I liked the Dallas crowd. The energy they gave me was huge, but it wasn't as buoy the two times I was stage host. That's for a fact. It only happened when we got the fuck you Apex stuff, but this year seemed a little bit more. And the point I'll agree with you. You can boo whoever you like. I don't give a fuck about that. But once the game's over and they're stood on stage,
yeah.
you can then be nice. Like you don't need to cheer for them, but give them their respect. You
That's
know?
the part that triggered me the most.
That
I
yeah,
don't.
that's where you need to give them some love. You can't then boo them after winning. It's like, yes, to beat your favorite team. Now say, okay, we'll see you in the next game, you made it to the finals. Like, at least give them that level of respect
Yeah.
because it's too much afterwards. But Mongols didn't just bow down in this game.
No.
It's not great. If anyone didn't see it, it's not great when you look at it and just think 2-0. Both games were competitive. They even started to come back from being behind on Inferno. On Nuke, they got off to a good start. It was the Seaside that let them down. Um, I feel like I said this, I think, on stream before the game started. I was streaming just personally playing some Counter Strike. People kept asking me, what's the score? I really thought Mongols was going to get a map. I was rooting for them to get a map as well.
Yeah.
Um, it's just I don't think Mongols will be hurt by this, but to me, this is a positive step forward. Even if you didn't win a map, I'm still seeing good signs out of it. It's just some of the individuals get a little bit lost at times. They definitely don't play the same way they always play. And they were going up against much tougher opposition in Maus. And they did push Maus. That's what they
They
can they
did.
can
They
be
did.
happy
They
with the
even
fact
had
they
the
pushed them.
lead on Inferno.
See?
So they definitely had them. I think they probably should have won this game, and that's probably what's gonna haunt them a little bit.
Hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure they just crushed their money. They had control, and then they just one you know round that just went a momentum way for Mouse, and then they just cemented it through there. Then they didn't really have any a chance on the last 3 rounds, which is obviously going to be a bit disappointing.
Now, did you see all of the Vitality Falcons game?
Yeah,
Okay, good. Because I only saw Dust 2 and Train, which were not the most exciting games. I didn't see Inferno, that supposedly was an absolute banger. So you can fill me in about what happened on this Inferno because whenever these two teams meet, it's a clash. Honestly, Vitality, I think it doesn't matter who picks what map in this. Yeah. These guys already know each other. These guys already have a lot of fight within each other. Um, this is where you've got Nico Munisi, Zywu Rops. This is cinema through and through. So first two
I mean,
maps.
first 2 maps. I think Dust 2. It's just a little bit back and forth. Strong start from Vitality. It looks like Falcon's not going to have a chance. They
Mhm,
bring a few rounds back and make it close, but second half it just full control Vitality. It's not
yeah.
like
T-side running
it
circles
doesn't
around them.
really look like Falcon's gonna have any way to win. Dust 2.
Yep.
Train kind of go the exact reverse. I feel like every time I was watching this game, it was just like Monesi, you're an absolute beast. Magist played well as well. I think he was rock solid on that inner bomb site. constantly,
And he had
getting
struggled in the past, by the way. He had
yeah.
struggled in the past on that train. It was not looking good for him personally.
So he was doing a fantastic job with Monacy on that inner bomb site, and
Mhm.
eh, but I feel like Monacy is just like he's so freaking good, and you can
He's
see it in
loving
this
train.
game.
Remember when we
Um,
interviewed him back when he was doing it was a 2v2 cup, right? And we said about his
yeah.
thoughts on train. He's like, I really enjoy this. But he was excited about this map. So to get him to see it play it on this level is obviously it's a whole other thing.
So Falcons
Flow
just
state.
crush Vitality in this game.
Mhm.
Go on to Inferno. It just looks like okay, this is over. 6-0 Vitality. Falcons, they don't have any chance. But then all of a sudden, I think Monacy started coming alive. They start getting a few rounds. You
Mhm.
start to see the frustrations. I think it was the first round they actually just threw away, and Apex got fucking pissed when they lost that round. I can't
Vocal
remember if it
Apex.
was exactly what round it was, but I do remember watching it, and felt like they were a bit too aggressive, which is something that happens sometimes with Vitality. I think they end up doing something similar in the final where they just kind of go a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too nonchalant, like they're gonna win every single duel.
Yeah.
Then Apex just gets pissed off as hell and starts screaming, and then all of a sudden they start kind of clawing their way back. But it actually ended with a 6-6 half from a six
Okay.
zero start from Vitality. They
So
got
they fully lost control.
they fully lost control on the half.
Wow. And they couldn't
And
claw their way back into it, which is crazy considering this is Vitality.
yeah, but then we have the like second half starts. They win pistol again, convert it. Uh, they were up 6-1 again on this half, and it just looks like it's all over. Like there's never gonna be any chance. But then I swear it's probably Monacy. It just
So
keeps
they were up
getting
12-7
rounds.
then.
It was this magic clutch, the 1v3. I think it
Oh, I
was like
saw
a
the clip of that.
2v4
Yeah.
when he
Yeah,
jumped up
yeah,
on
yeah.
coils, and it's like s- I don't know what time it was left, but it was like 1 millisecond left of the diffuse.
Mhm.
Um, and then they just lose straight
Didn't
up after
Vitality
that.
also pull off all of these crazy clutches on their CT side? That what it was in Melbourne, right? In the grand finals, where Magis got killed lurking, trying to flank them. They were going to save, and they went for it, and he got that
Yes,
crazy last.
and that was an
Yeah,
Inferno as
so he
well.
got
Yeah,
revenge. He got revenge.
he
Magis
did
got
get
revenge for the
revenge.
moment. That's actually beautiful. So he got
But
fucked in the finals last time, but this time he got revenge. But that was still wasn't enough for them to win.
and I've
Oh
seen
god.
a lot of people talked about it. I saw like some clip with I think Maui Snake. It was one round. This was the round where
Hmm.
Magic did the 1v3 clutch. It's
Yeah,
essentially like they're doing some. It's Nico and Kixan holding B, right?
yeah,
And they're trying to switch up positions while they are on B, and Vitality just go in and just kill Nico standing in an off position, trying to rotate to. I don't know if he's trying to walk CT or if he's trying to walk close banana or take whatever angle he tried to take.
yeah.
Uh, but they got caught with their pants down, and that's the only reason Vitality, because they went in dry. I think they just went in, like walking into B and killed him, and that's kind of a big mistake and could have ended them there, and probably did to some degree because they. I think CT side, especially on Inferno, has always for me been you need money control, you need full money to be
Yeah,
able
especially with all
to
the utility.
yeah, you need full utility, you need everything, right?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of helped Vitality get that last round because I'm not sure they had full pocket of everything.
Mhm.
But it was an
Well, that sounds
exciting
like a
game,
banger game.
mostly because Vitality looked like they were in form and constantly kind of dropped the ball. And Falcons picked it up and they didn't let give it back to them until the very end.
Was some of the criticism put on Rops in that game in particular valid or not? Was it just
No, I think I think it wasn't really about Rops specifically.
Mhm.
I think he probably missed a couple of kills that he should have had, but at the end of the day,
Happens.
I think it was more about the situation they put themselves in sometimes, Vitality, where they have the advantage and they just
Yeah.
kind of they don't secure it. Um, and we're gonna see an example, and you probably saw that example as well in the grand final, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So
yes.
so I think it's more about this. They get a little bit too loose with it sometimes. It feels like they forget why they're good at Counter Strike and just play
Mhm.
purely individual, and that's when they kind of fumble.
And that sets us up for the grand final. We get Vitality going up against Mouse. No Falcons in it this time around. Falcons and Mouse are the only teams that seem to be able to challenge Vitality in some ways. I will say, I'm not going to call it a disappointing final because it had some fun moments in there, but I did expect more. I at least expected one map to go the way of Mouse, but it wasn't the case this time around. I will say Vitality, this whole event to me, were not playing their best game. They said it themselves.
Yeah,
Um, and yet they were still able to win. They've got their sixth trophy in a row. They are by far the best team in 2025, and I don't think there's any way any other team would be able to take that from them unless they just don't win anything or even make playoffs from now on, which probably isn't going to happen. Um, this was this was also Zaiwu coming alive to the level we expect him to be in the grand final. This is where
yeah.
we saw the best of him come forward because before that he wasn't even the highest rated player of the tournament for Vitality.
I think he definitely bailed them out in the grand finals against especially Dust 2, but he was consistently like unbelievable. Even
Yeah.
on Mirage, he had that ace, which just looked ridiculous with the AK. So there was plenty of times where, you know, they were saved by Saivu, but at the same
Hmm.
time, when I was watching this game, just as you say, I wasn't as excited watching this game as I was watching like the Falcons game.
No.
Um, I think Falcons is still for me a little bit more on top than Mouse, especially in the matchup against
Yep.
Vitality. Um, it feels like they push them a lot more. I think this final is a little bit, you know, it's probably a little bit of a wake up call for Vitality rather than like we cannot play this loose or we cannot kind of fuck up this much. Um,
Apex did say though, right, that they had a week off before this. They didn't come in prepared to this tournament as others to give themselves some more energy, going into the major. And the fact that they can even win that with that situation and that
yeah,
circumstances is crazy.
and I think that's the
It's
mark for why they are so good as well. You know, as you say,
yeah.
it's
If
it's
that's
it's
your
one of those
floor,
things.
boy.
Yeah, but I remember even back in the days with Fnatic when we were so good, we used to have these tournaments as well. We didn't practice for 2 weeks, go to like a Star Ladder event and Crims's MVP with like 2 rating. You know, it's there was moments like this, and I think it's definitely a hallmark mark for Vitality for that kind of era
Hmm.
pursuing form. And I think it's a smart choice by them. They've been playing long tournaments. They're consistently in the finals. They don't get, you know, 1 2 extra days of rest in the event.
Yep.
Constantly preparing, doing stuff. So I think it's a smart choice, kind of resting up.
Yeah. There's no days off at Dallas, right? Or one day off.
I think it was
I
one
forget.
day.
One day off. Yeah. One day. Yeah. It's crazy.
But
So
obviously,
many
if
back
you're
to
in the
back.
playoff, it's not really a day off. It's like a day of extra preparation.
But yeah, you have to. Yeah. Yeah.
So even though they're not on a stage and playing on in the server, they're definitely doing work. So I think it's still a smart choice for them to kind of rest up for the major. You need to be
Hmm.
refreshed. Majors are usually quite long, so it's kind of a marathon event.
Yep.
Uh, Even though these do seem long to some people, they're playing Counter Strike for a week. It's nothing compared to a major. You're gonna be
No.
absolutely, you know, completely out of energy after it ends, no matter if you're just playing one stage or two or three or four.
Yeah. It's the effort that goes into it, right? It's all the stress and pressure that comes off it as well.
Yeah.
Should we, because Dust 2 is the first map. That's what your walkthrough's on, right?
Yeah, we can definitely
S-
get into a little bit of a Devil Walk walkthrough or Devil
All
walkthrough.
right. Well, let's do my intro then for this. You guys enjoyed the first one so much. Thank you very much for all the positive comments and support you gave Devil Walk on his new segment. So we're bringing it back. We're going to do as many as possible through tournaments if we can find the right ones that fit. So here we are. It's the second time. It's the amazing. It's the incredible Devil Walkthrough.
So, just to give a little bit of intro, I kind of wanted to showcase Vitality in the final. Um, this is what I've been talking about a little bit with what they get a little bit too loose, almost a little bit overeager or overconfident when going into
I'm
things.
I'm
So we're
getting
gonna
black screen
actually
sometimes. Oh, there we go. Now I see it. Yeah, we're good.
so we're gonna start off with just watching this 1v5 loss against
Mm-hmm.
Gympat. Look at the mistakes. I think just pausing it here a little bit,
Yeah.
even rewinding it a little bit for us to see. I think here's the first big mistake here, right? They started off when they got the kill on the guy that is out mid, right? Where Messi killed. Rops was with him. He steps up to take care of B because they don't have any information on Gympat.
Yep.
Messi, he steps as he takes a wide angle on his own. Rops feels forced as he's kind of close to kind of strafe out and take this duel, right? He
Trying to
also
trade.
dies, barely doing any damage. We have 80 health approximately left on Gympat. He's just staying around here. Obviously, I have Saivu. He's already at a 3k in the round. He is way too overeager. He dies in middle, just straight up. I think here what showcases what you need to do or what you should do is actually if you look at Apex, he kind of tucks
Hmm.
himself in, he waits. Okay, Flames is with me. Okay, Flames,
Yep.
go first. You're low HP. I'm full. He's not gonna transfer me. Okay, I'm holding mid, making sure. And I think this is a little bit unlucky from Flames. As he sees the tunnel, he does not see anyone, so he tries to cross it, and that's when he's in the middle of this door.
Okay. So he hadn't seen him at the beginning part and it's just the
No,
timing. Hmm.
so he doesn't see him, and just when he gets to this decision in his mind, okay, I'm gonna try and cross it, he
Yeah, so he's
dies as
already
well.
thinking the next step. So he's trying to
Yeah,
shoot like behind. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm glad you looked at it from Flame's perspective because obviously in the 1v5 when we saw it, we only
yeah,
see it from Yimfat's perspective, right? Because that's what the observer should do. They should follow the one player alive. And so we would have just looked at that like, oh, Flames is peeking it. He didn't win the duel. He's low health
yeah.
anyway. But actually,
S-
you've seen it that Flames is moving because the timing just didn't work out for him. It's just a very
And it's
cute timing.
unlucky, but it's
Yeah.
still he should probably not even have made that decision. If we're all
Hmm.
honest, he probably should just made sure he could jiggle it or get the information, maybe have a little bit of a less of a gap in the door where maybe he could spray as he crosses.
Yeah.
Just make sure he gets the information so you can get into that position where Apex wanted to be in CT, where they're close to each other, and then the low health guy can go get the information and Apex can trade. Instead, it becomes a 1v5 against the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's purely one on ones. It's
Yeah.
purely one on ones the entire 1v5 through. And here we see Apex reaction on this. Just after he gets killed. And
I'd love to
he's
hear his comms. I would love
obviously
to hear his
talking
comms.
about, come on guys, we can't give them things like this.
Yeah.
It's just not feasible. And I think that also showcases, some people might be like, okay, he's whining, he's talking about, but this needs to be talked about. This needs to be sorted
Yeah.
out. We cannot give them stuff like this, and everyone needs to just take this little beating, check themselves, and play on. Right? I think it's
Yeah. Let
great.
that humble
Showcases,
you a bit.
yeah. It showcases great leadership from Apex because it's a tough conversation. I'm sure he doesn't want to yell at his teammates, but at the same time, they need to hear it at this point because
Yeah.
that actually gave Mouse the kind
For a
of
huge
option
chance.
to claw it back. So these are some of the weapon rounds after
Mhm.
they get this. Obviously, Apex or Vitality, they have some scouts, they have some five sevens. They're doing a lot of damage. They're doing good things in these rounds, and it's really close that they win most of these rounds against mouse sports. Okay, but anyways, we're kind of looking at some of the rounds after, and you can see that they're playing really, really well, and you see how stressed Mouse is. They have to kind of run back B, and this is a round where it's so close.
Yeah, into a
Vitality win. We have
1v1.
Surgeon with like 25 HP or something like that. Another round, now they have a little bit more weaponry, a little bit more utility, but it's not really, a
It's
full
not
full gun round
optimal.
with full utility. It's
Yeah.
they bought what they could, and it's still, we have to view it on the side of things where every single round that Mouse is actually winning, they have to really like claw their way back. There's one-on-ones, there's two-on-ones, there's consistently players being low HP with kind of an inferior buy from Vitality.
Hmm.
And you see here, for example, they're
No, I
doing this
can't
A
see it again.
split. You can see it
No, okay.
again.
No, okay.
What the hell
I
is
think when
going
you
on?
when you change a different
Oh,
round, it like
okay.
goes black and white. Yeah.
All right, I'll try to stop that. But it's just a general overview of some of the rounds that are very, very close, but Mouse end up winning. I think this was one of the key rounds where essentially, Mouse they win this round, but all of the Mouse players are dead. And Saivu gets to save that AWP from the B point of view, which
Hmm.
essentially sets them up to kind of, okay, let's just start winning now. And we'll see kind of Mouse hovering here towards that lone B player on the box, close to tunnels. They get into it, but this is where they kind of find Jimpat in the end and go for that retake, and Saivu is just left alone. Not enough time to defuse it. But still, it just showcases how hard it is to win rounds against Vitality. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it looks good, if they have worse weaponry. They go for this B retake. See Flames and Cyber jumps on the box, and it's just like 1 second away from actually getting the fuse. Now this,
That 1v5 spurred them on to get like a
yeah, they
clean
would
few
never
rounds
have gotten
against
it.
them.
They had to play against, I think, two four spies and two weapon rounds, and they got 6 rounds in a row or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, that just spurred away from them losing that 25k of equipment value in
Yeah.
that 1v5, right? So this round, I think, it really showcases, or this is the round that actually Saivu, he gets to save the AWP, right?
Yeah, the one you said about. Yep.
Just a little bit of MP9s, and this is just a hero round from Saivu. They end up going out long against him. He's stuck on that car position, and he just kills people, and they're forced to save because they don't have enough time, essentially. We're gonna see them do that kind of A split here. Saivu stuck alone. This does not look like a good defense, but they had that smoke to block. Saivu just wins it on his own. It's 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
They had that late smoke they could block on the short side. End up killing Spinks, I think. And this round, this is the round I think is so beautiful. If we look at the start of this round,
Hmm.
they take long control, they mollo, they will smoke it, and just see on this transition that they do. We have Saivu here lining up a smoke. This will land in front of short, as we see here. Lands there straight in the flames. It blocks off the entirety. And look, there's no one on long right now for Vitality. Saivu rotated mid. We have Messi close mid doors, and they do this boost. They kill
Oh.
Torshi.
Towards his
They
warp out
fall
straight
back.
away.
You see Messi here. Okay. Flame C boost. What's so brilliant about it is because they think that Vitality have long, they don't expect this numbers being in middle. You see
Yeah.
Jim Pat up top mid, he dies to Saivu with the AWP because he thinks there's just an AK holding close, and the round is over. And this just spurs their comeback. And because it was so hard for Mouse to get any kind of monetary value back from winning the rounds, they had 5 people dead and win the round. They have no money left in the bank. They're completely
Yeah.
broke after winning 6 rounds in a row, essentially. So this just gives Vitality, all that they need to kind of close the game out from there. But I really, really love. I kind of want to watch that round again. It's so beautiful, just how they take long control, give the indication with smoke molonade. Saivu does this beautiful smoke, bam, bam, and they have the balls to kind of shift from that long take to do this. And Mouse
Yeah.
had no idea that there are 4 players on this map fighting for this.
Because they lost long control, right? So what Miles want to do is they want to take mid control, but it
Yeah,
was just perfect because look how close even Mezzi's kill, right? No
yeah.
one can sneak out mid. Flames got that
Everything is
first kill.
calculated.
Yeah,
So I think it was just a beautiful way to showcase, the plans that they do. They start off with taking that long control, they transition into something, and just punish Mouse because, yeah, just beautiful, beautiful Counter Strike.
we love beautiful Counter Strike, and we love getting to see it on our Devil walkthroughs. Thank you very much, mate, for that.
So yeah,
From here, we'll look at Mirage next, right? Just quickly. 10-2 start from Vitality. They were back in full swing. It was a little fight back from Mouse. I just felt like there was no way they were winning it, you know? And,
no, I
and
think
by
the
the way,
rest,
they
the
won
rest
it
of
the
the
last
game.
times.
Yeah, but the rest of the game just felt like, okay, Vitality's won this. Considering they gave mouse sports the biggest gift you could give someone in Counter Strike, a 1v5, they still won the map 13-11, clawed it back. It felt like after a map break like that, they're not gonna be able to, do anything. They're gonna be like,
Hmm.
okay, we can win even when we fuck up, but let's not make it hard for
Let's not do
ourselves.
it.
Let's make
Yeah.
it easier for ourselves the next time around. And you could see that on the start of Mirage.
Yeah. And that
10-2.
carried them through.
Yeah.
And even on Inferno, right? CT side start for Mouse. They couldn't get things going. Even with winning the first pistol and the follow-up round, the T side that was displayed from Vitality was crazy. The way they were
Yeah.
pressuring B and the way they kept going into there was one round where Apex pulled back his like entry fragging 2014
Oh, the
level.
3K
The
on B
3K,
side.
I was like, oh, it's over. It is so over. They are cooked. Because like he had 2 bullets left on the last kill and still gets the headshot. He was willing to just shoot the 2 bullets and die if needed in trade, but he still gets it. His confidence was oozing at that point.
Yeah,
He was feeling it. He knew it all.
but he brings that out. Every single game they play, he does get these like 3 kill entry rounds, kind of, and that's what's so freaking hard about Vitality. You look at every
Yeah.
single player; they have clutch moments. They have moments where they, on their own as an individual, just wins around, um, and you can't do anything about it. Just
It was
too
crazy.
much.
It was crazy. And then Vitality lift the trophy. Another one goes their way. I'm going to say this, right? I wish we got to see a bit more from Mouse, but I don't think this is a bad thing for Mouse. Like, not winning a map is not the end of the world for them, but it still puts them in a good spot that, again, they made a grand final. Again, they're going deep ahead of the major. Obviously, they're in stage 3 as well, so there's no real problems for them at the same time. They got some time to go work on things. For Vitality, though, if this is not even your strongest game we've seen, and you can do this, they are in such a commanding position. 30 games won in a row. Yeah, the
Yep.
streak. 6 trophies. Seemingly, even when they make big mistakes like losing 1v5s, they can still find their way to come together, believe in each other, dominate. And look at this. It was Torzi was the highest rated player of the whole tournament before that grand final. And this is what I don't understand. It's the 26th MVP now for Zywoo.
Saivu.
Yeah. And people said Torshi should have got the MVP. I'm sorry, but like, yes, Torsi was owning all event long, but in the grand finals, he was a 0.86 rating,
Yeah.
-3 overall. Zyru was plus 24, 1.52 rating. Zyru came alive when his team needed him the most. He for sure gets the MVP. It's not even in question. I don't know if some people are just like mega fans or hating on Zyru, but like, The grand final is so important. That's what matters. He delivered when it came to that. It's 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 just the way, man. It is just the way.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually look at it even from another perspective, if you just look at the playoff stats, which is always the most important stats of a
Yeah.
tournament, when you look at the MVP significance of it, Mouse played one other game in playoff because they got
Mhm.
straight to the semifinals. They played
Yep.
Mongols. Torchi had a 124 rating on that match, but it's not going to beat Saivu's 116 and then 150 on the final.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's not.
Exactly. Exactly. And Torsey played great. It's definitely an EVP performance,
Yeah,
something you can be proud of. But when you're getting walked over in the grand final, you don't have the impact of what you were able to do elsewhere in the tournament, then that goes to show why Zaru got the MVP there. This is crazy though, and right now Vitality can be loving life and so happy. By the way, another little tidbit. I don't know why Mike didn't interview the rest of the players. Maybe he was told not to. I'm not going to blame him for it. But I felt so sad because Mezzi first event had his child and his fiance. Maybe they're married now. Maybe it's wife. But they were in the event, and he didn't get a chance to speak on the mic. Man,
yeah.
I thought like they just interviewed Apex, and I was like, oh, I was that moment of please let Messi talk because I know he would have been able to say something to them. But he put a nice picture up. I saw it on his Instagram, and that's so special, right? To win a tournament with the mother of your child and your baby in Dallas like that, it's beautiful. We love things like that, man.
Yeah. And you probably have a little bit of this, like we call it like work damaged in Sweden. It's like
Work
some
damaged.
behavior you have where like say you're a dentist and you look at everyone's teeth.
Oh, all the
Uh
time. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, but I can understand it from Mike's point is that sometimes, right? I'm doing interviews and the production said, no, don't do this, no, this time,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, right? And people then say to me, oh, why didn't you do that? So that's why I'm not even blaming Mike. I just wish we got that moment on camera because
Yeah.
it's all good hearing from Apex, but I know like when you got your baby there as well and your fiance wife, whatever it is, like that would have been so cool for Messi to see that. It would have been nice, man.
No, I 100% agree with that. I think it's a cool one of those moments, and you know, you get to know the players a little bit more because
Hmm.
you know, obviously, in this team, a lot of the spotlight is going to be on Apex, Saivu, and Rox
Yeah.
pretty much every time, and having you know some light shine
Well,
on
Messi
Messi.
deserves so much credit,
Yeah,
man, for what he's doing in the roles he's got and how well he's playing and how he bails them out of situations so many times. Is like he's not just a British player anymore. Like he is one of the world's elite in his
I
role
mean,
and what he
he's the
does.
British goat.
Yes, there has never been a British player as good as him in any version of Counter Strike, and I've seen it all. So yeah, Messi is the best of all time in the UK, and it's going to be very hard for a British player to try and beat that.
Yeah.
He's just going to keep claiming more trophies. Might not ever get an MVP just because of you've got Cyber and Rops on the team, but if he ever got an MVP, my God, that would be incredible.
I have to
And
also give a little bit of a mention to the Apex and 32 trophies that he's now got. He's tied with
yeah,
Dupree on trophies
woo,
won, right? I
notable
mean,
trophies, right? Like the big event trophies and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. So I was thinking about this, and it's probably,
Mhm.
if I'm honest, this probably puts Apex in my like one of the big, like probably in my top 10, top 5 of biggest Counter Strike players of all time. Might not
I'd
be
agree.
necessarily, you know, the best at all times, but it's definitely up there in the biggest. And
But But it's so subjective because you say like the best, right? A lot of people just think of rating and MVPs and like individual performance. I always think, even with the HLTV awards and just how they do like the top 20 players, we have to have different categories because there is best players in the world, which to me is the individual brilliance of a player. Yeah.
yeah,
But then there is a other
people who win.
category that comes to career defining, right? And he is in that top five, maybe even top three of career
Yeah,
defining because now multiple major champion, yeah, could eventually, depending on how long he goes for, overtake the Astralis lot. Yeah. He's in a position now where he's had so many big trophies. You said how 32?
32.
32. He is now changed from being just an entry fragger to now an in-game leader to defining how he wants to play and not just pigeonholing himself in other systems. Like when Zonic came to him, he found his own way of playing. Now he's working it together with Xtaz. Like this longevity and this ability, and also he started to perform individually better.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
and it's crazy.
to me, he is, probably people will disagree, but he's to me
Mm.
is way above Nico in being like a big player for me in all time Counter Strike.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know like Nico is considered like a goat rifler. He's absolutely amazing at what he does on the server. But if you actually look at like trophy cabinets, he's nowhere near Apex. Like
No,
nowhere near.
no, no. And it's only going to grow more this year if they keep this
Yeah.
going, which is obviously looking very likely as well. Um, I'll give my closing thoughts on Dallas though. I think event overall was very good. The group stage was a bit rough in the tech problems and issues they had. Time zone is just what it is. We have to deal with that. I don't think it was the end of the world. Um, I think the arena was still good despite what we spoke about. I
Yeah.
would I would say Melbourne was still better. I still think Kazakhstan was the best one we've had all year. I know some people didn't agree with me when I said that last time on the show. Um, I think this sets us up for the most perfect storyline for the major. All pressure is now going to be at the very maximum for Vitality. And this just gives us this cinema thing where if they do it and they keep the streak going and they go through and win the major, oh my God. If they don't, shock, horror, all this stuff. Like there's so much to be had here. And I don't know, I hope Vitality have a bloody film crew just following these guys for their own documentary. Because FaZe, by the way, still do like the best behind the scenes content. But I need to see this from Vitality's perspective as well. That would be amazing.
Actually, yeah. I think these episodes are so underrated. I mean, watching that like phase one, where
Oh,
they kind of, you know, told the story of the end of that
yeah,
lineup,
the
that was
benching of the
beautiful. Yeah,
Brokey.
it was really really good.
The guy that does it, I
Uh,
think his name's Benny, who
yeah,
does all the filming, and he's at so many events. We see him all the time, and I've seen him for years now, and he's obviously got that relationship with the players. But I'm consistently seeing him there, and he's able to capture in the right way. Big shout out to him, man.
yeah,
Phase in that sense, do the content so good.
yeah. They really, and it's so talking about it in that sense. Like I'm
Yeah,
sure they didn't know that they're gonna kick him, but obviously like they have some parts before that, and the storyline
yeah, yeah.
leading up to it was beautiful
How
to
it all
watch. Actually,
pieces it together,
yeah,
we're actually looking like a movie script. That's for
yeah.
sure. All right, so that is Dallas review done. We did quite a long one on that because this episode is not going to be as long. I teased about it earlier, but this week we are filming maybe two, well, definitely two, potentially three episodes of the podcast that'll come out for you guys.
It's gonna
One
be a
of
long
them is
week.
it's going to be a long week of filming, but one of them is for our next guest. I'm going to say it here rather than the end of the video. We've got Hooksy joining us on the podcast. He'll be our next guest. So as always, go on the Discord if you want to send your questions in. There's a channel Q&A. We'll link it down below in the description. For anyone else, you can find it on the allaboutcs.gg website. Um, if you've got questions for Hooksy, get in there and ask it. We're going to go over things from his career, where he's at right now. Obviously, the run he had with Astralis. Very excited to have him on. That's a huge guest. I'm so happy to have him back at events as well. It was great seeing him in Kazakhstan. Um, but the next point we need to do, Devil Walk, and we're using your PC for this because I've already done mine. So we're going to just do
All
a
right.
together all about Counter Strike, Austin Major Pick'ems Stage 1. So it's not just my opinion. We're going to have to go through Devil Walks as well. So we'll get that set up for you guys. Now, so we're doing our all about Counter Strike stage 1 of the Blast TV Austin Major Pick'ems. This is going to be very hard. I've already done mine, but we're going to do this together and try and see if we agree on things and how this all works out. Devilwalk, stage 1's tough, man. Stage
It's
1's real
really tough.
tough.
I'm looking at this and I'm kind of confused and lost, and but we'll try to make it work. We can maybe go through the teams a little bit.
Okay.
I'll probably categorize them. I probably have, let's see here. I probably have Metis boards as one that will advance, along
Really?
with Heroic, maybe a Legacy and Tyloo.
You think Legacy's going to make it through?
They might. I mean,
No way.
if we look at these teams, this is so random. Anything can happen. There's not a single person in the world who's gonna master this.
There is not, but we'll need to get 5 right, I think it is, right?
Okay.
So it says, what is it? I'm reading on from your screen. Place all pick'ems. Get 5 correct. 5 correct.
Okay.
You've got plenty of opportunities for it. Now, 3-0. Yeah. Just
Three
go with me
zero.
here.
Yeah.
My starting
Heroic?
point is going to be heroic. Yeah. Okay. Good. So you're on the same mental point of me
Yes.
with this. On my personal pick'ems, I did put bait, but that's a little
Eight?
bit of bias in there. But it's a bit of bias in there being the Ukrainian squad. I know they've been on boot camp grinding as well.
Okay.
It's not so. I don't think it's like the most guaranteed one. Bet
Do you
boom
have
certainly
the
with like
opening matchup for bait?
yeah. Let me get the opening matchups. Opening
Because
matchup for
that's gonna
bait is
matter a lot.
Imperial.
Imperial. Ooh.
Heroics is Chinggis Warriors.
But heroic, I think,
Complexity are
is.
going up against OG. That's why I couldn't put Complexity in good faith beating OG as a 3-0.
But I do
Bet
think
Boom's even facing
complexity.
Namiga.
Ah,
You see, the opening matchups just make this so hard.
this is really hard. But
Mhm.
I will definitely put Metasports in the 3-1, 3-2 advance.
Okay. I didn't even have them going through. I didn't have them 0-3. I did not have
Okay.
them
I don't care about your opinion on this. I will put them there
because they're Swedish.
because they are Swedish.
But bro, their
That's my
results in
reasoning.
recent times have been bad, even against teams that are not
They're
even close to being
saving
major level
strats for
teams.
the
Oh
major.
my god.
Everyone
Okay.
knows it.
So
I
guys,
can't
we
with
already
good
know that Devils lost his mind.
I cannot say anything other than that. That's gonna be mine in there. But I think
So
the 3-0 ones, they're difficult. I think if I just look, Wildcard could do it, Bait could do it. Um, I don't know if FlyQuest. I think it's really tough. Maybe Bait is the one to do it.
Bates' opening game, right, is against Imperial. Complexities is against OG. And Heroics is against Chinggis
Yeah, but
Warriors.
Heroic feels like the most set one.
I do feel like then, because of that, though, we're putting Chinggis Warriors in 0-3. I know a lot of people keep
Yes.
saying no, they shouldn't be, but it's like they've not played against this level of opposition.
But I kind of want to put Lin Vision there as well.
See, I wanted to put either Fluxo or NIG,
But isn't that the team with
arts team.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
They're playing
can't.
FlyQuest first.
They're playing FlyQuest first, and you're putting
Yeah.
them 0-3? No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Bro, you can't looking at these matchups. You can't do this. It doesn't
But
work
it's
that way.
really hard. I think Bait is either in the 3-0 or 3-1.
Okay, so
I have to.
put them
I
in.
think Complexity or Wildcard, I mean, are there.
Surely complexity are going through.
I think, yeah,
Surely.
but I'm not sure of 3-0. But who is the 3-0 with them?
Well, this is it, right? Because BetBoom's first game's against Namiga.
I think
That's
OG
basically a
could be a
CIS matchup.
shocker.
But that means OG would have to beat complexity in the opening game. I put OG, by the way, going through. I think OG will go through.
Yeah.
But look how many of your teams already you've left out. Like Ty Lue should go through as well, bro. They made it already through EPL play-ins one time.
But this is really, really hard.
Yeah.
I'm
Stage one
putting
is just a
I'm
mess.
putting Lin Vision in 0-3.
Wow. Double
I'm
Asia
doing it.
region hatred from Devil Walk.
Don't put it like that. I do have some faith in Tai Lu, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a 3-0. But this,
Definitely not. Definitely not 3-0.
but who? Maybe I put Bait there.
You could put Bet Boom there, but that means they have to beat an Amiga.
No, I'm not putting Betboom in there. I don't think like they could make it, but I have a hard time seeing them being a
So
3-0
Bates'
team.
opening game is Imperial. Bait have been mad grinding boot camp. Bates' run of
Okay,
recent
let's
form, we
move
look
them
down
up.
their
I
matches.
believe.
So Bates' recent form in online matches, beating Paravision for the first place in ESL Challenger, beat Sinners,
Did they beat
Vetera.
Fnatic?
Um, they came third at Mesa, which is a LAN event. They only lost in the CCT Global Final to Heroic. They beat Bet Boom, Heroic, and Partizan before that. They beat Astralis to qualify. They beat Ents. They beat Nine Pandas. Bait have beaten a
Yeah.
lot of good teams, and they've been on boot camp.
Okay. But I think we've cemented the 3-0. But I
Okay.
think this is such a hard thing. I want to know how the viewers have
This
cooked
is
this up.
why. This is why I can't, good faith, say Metasport's going through when you look at the teams that are still here in your picks.
Metasport's going through, man. Who is our last team? That's what we want to know. Is it Nemiga, Betboom, Imperial, FlyQuest, NRG, Fluxor, or Legacy?
I'm on the Bet Boom train. It's Axile and it's Boomage personally. You know that you. By the way, you know Boomage will be grinding right now for the team. Boot camp for sure is in place. Let's see their online results recently. They played a CCT Season 3 Europe Series 1. They lost to Ecstatic 2-1 twice. 2-1 in another league as well. It's not great results. So they've not been playing good, but I just have this blind faith in Boomage.
I think I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah.
I think so.
So no Brazilian teams going through. Only complexity from North America. I guess wildcard count as North
We'll put
America.
them here, honorable mentions.
But you can't put them there, bro. You can't drag them across. That's not how this works. You can't predict each individual game.
I would
It's
have
tough this
loved to.
time.
I think it's
It's
really
tough.
tough. But I think even if you look at like stage 2 and stage 3, some weird reason it becomes easier because you
Yeah,
see them a lot more often. I think
exactly.
it's
You know what's
really
happening.
hard to predict games, and I'm sure I'm gonna rate a lot of these teams wrongly just by doing these pick'ems because
Yep.
it's impossible to follow all the Counter Strike that is going on in the world. I think it's you have weekly like tier 1 events. It's tough enough to follow that.
Then you've got all the tier 2, 3 teams.
But yeah, I think Heroic and Bait, they're good shouts. I do think there are some chances that, always with
Metasport
this
won't
kind of
make it.
Swiss bookles system, that someone's going to get some fucked up matchups
Uh-huh.
that's going to completely destroy everyone's pick'ems. And Twitter's going to go on a rampage.
Fuck
But
your pick'ems.
yeah, the classic. But
Yep.
I think I'm saving these.
All
Who's
right.
this? Team Graffiti. Choose team.
Oh, yes. I wonder where you're
Choose
going to go with
your
this.
Team Graffiti. So I'm leaning towards
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm leaning towards the Swedish flag. There you
Swedish
go.
flag. Now we're calling this logo the Swedish flag. That is it.
I think it is a Norwegian slash Swedish organization,
I have no idea. Most of the players are Swedish and that is it.
and hopefully this one will be a different color when we return.
Hopefully this gets you through to the next stage. Otherwise, it's going to end badly. We'll continue to do this on the show, though, throughout. Devil's looks slightly different to mine, but that's what we have for now. Enjoy. Try and follow. I'm not going to promise you any gold, diamond coins or anything else like that because we never know what can happen. The majors are crazy. There's best of ones in here, which just shouldn't be. But that's it. Austin Major Pick'ems, stage 1. Locked in.
Locked
All
in.
right. Locked in. And from there, Devil, now we get to talk about some of the things going on in the news. We just got a couple of cool moments. I think we'll stick with, we were talking about Austin Major. We'll stick with Mongols here, which is really nice because Mongols. So it says here, I'll just read this out from the tweet. Alongside Senzu, Techno 4K, and Mazzino stickers, you'll also find the names of Kaz, Darkis, and Mara. Mara obviously being the coach. Kaz and Darkis founded the organization, and Mara is our coach. All three were once pro players, but never had their own stickers until now. This in game honor is for them, for giving us their dream and helping make ours possible. So, KA for Kaz is on Senzu, ties into the Z in Senzu's name. Techno has Techno for Arcus. Yeah, beautifully done. And then Mazzino with Mara underneath with a big M under it. I love this show of respect for anyone that thinks like, oh, they shouldn't be able to do this, shouldn't be able to have it. We've had people write names before and done this in the past. I know Donks has got his manager's name, for example, from Spirit. Um, this is just a lovely showing because for Mongolian CS, the people they're talking about did pave the way for them. I love it, man.
I think it's great as well, but I am a little bit worried about, I know Valve kind of hardened up the rules for making stickers. It should be your autograph. If you're signing someone's like a fan's jersey, they should look the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
same. That was kind of like the guidelines they had for it.
And you need to do it by hand yourself. We had to
Yeah,
like in Shanghai, everyone was doing it in person because people used to get it created by like a designer and
yeah.
then upload it. And that got too far, too crazy. So now everyone was physically having to do it.
But I'm definitely on the train that this is beautiful. This is give coach stickers. That's all I'm saying. I think that should be in the
Talent,
game.
talent as well. Thank you.
Fuck the talent. Uh, start with the
I knew he was gonna
coaches.
say that. I knew. By the way, I would hard push for coaches to have stickers more so than talent, obviously. But I will say in Dota we have talent voice lines. Can I get some voice lines in game? Can we have an agent that
I'll be
screams
okay
out
with
voice
voice
lines?
lines like
Yeah.
Banks shouting "fire in the hole" when you throw a grenade.
No, I want someone like my bring the hype. Are you like things like that? Are you ready at the start of a round? I can be dude, I'd
Ah,
record
okay,
that. That'd be
okay.
that'd be nice, right? For the agent. Rather than go, 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 you could have like, are you ready? And then just go. That would be awesome. I would love
I,
that.
w-
Please, Valve.
I think that's a great idea.
I want
I'd
to
be
be
okay with
immortalized in
that.
the
Coach
game in some
stickers
way.
and talent voice lines. I'm done. I'm okay with that.
That would be a beautiful thing to make happen. But yeah, I love that. There is obviously potential that Valve might be unhappy with what happens for future tournaments, but I hope this one stays in. I think this is a beautiful send off for it. Another thing we got to talk about is this Basita situation as well,
Yeah, this
because
has been quite a mess to follow.
bro,
Um,
it's at first I felt bad for them, yeah, and at first I was like 100% on Basita's side. It's shit and very hard to get visas for America. Yeah.
yeah.
We know that, especially depending on what country you're from. Like, my wife applied for American visa last year, didn't get it. We applied again this year, got it. She got a 10-year visa now, which is crazy, but it's never easy. Anything can happen. And the problem, what I'm just gonna read between the lines on some of this, is that now the guy who runs his name is Basita Papo MC. He said he wants to take them to court. Like, I don't know how we got to this point, but that's crazy. To say you're going to take him to court, I'm going to read the actual. Where is my thing here? So here's his tweet,
I think it was
and
in
it
response
says,
to them clarifying the
"Yeah,
situation to the public because
you're
obviously
doing the
Blast.
wrong thing."
Yeah,
Yeah, he said, "We wanted to resolve this fairly. See you in court." Now I know he's got a huge following. He's got like 853,000 followers, but Blast seemed to have checked all of this with Valve. They got the stickers out early as well, and the pickums out early, which doesn't normally happen. Um, yes, Basita now all got their visas, but they didn't meet the deadline. From my perspective, the major is so incredibly important. Basita have tried so many times to make it, they finally do it, and this time they can't because of the visa situation. It's so sad. I feel bad for these players, but I will say, if we start changing deadlines and backing down on things and moving away from it, it sets a bad precedent for others. If you've done this here, then you'll have to do that in the next one. Someone
and I
else will have the
think
same problem.
you know I think a lot of people are probably gonna be thinking on the lines of but tournament hasn't started. They can just take a flight there
Mhm.
and just start playing the game. But it doesn't really work that way with Valve because they want to have all these capsules ready for the public.
Yep.
It obviously requires a little bit of work. It's not, easy with all the preparations. There's probably a lot of stuff in like arenas to printing stuff for the teams that are actually attending to
Yep.
all the rooms, everything, and
Yep.
making sure that everything is correct. It does take some logistical time and effort to make sure it works. um so in that sense, I think people have to understand that because of these things, that's why they are too late, and that's why there's a deadline, because everything that's in game to outside the game to when the tournament is, where the tournament is, needs to be fixed, sorted, make
Yep.
sure that it's going to be one of the best tournaments coming up.
Yeah, massively. I'm going to read Blast statement out as well. It says, I'll kind of skim through this. We are aware that the decision to replace Basita at the Blast TV Austin Major has led to a number of questions about the decision making process. In the interest of transparency, we are more than happy to provide further clarity regarding the factors which led to the unfortunate outcome. As is the case for any of our events, all participating teams are subject to the visa requirements of the host country. Since February, Blast has been in consistent communication with all teams regarding the US visa process required to attend the event. This outreach began well ahead of qualification to ensure that any issues or delays could be addressed before the event. In total, we have seen 31 teams and 158 players successfully secure the required visas following the application process put in place for the tournament, all within the published deadlines. Proceed to qualify for the tournament on the Thursday, the 17th of April. Each team is ultimately responsible for securing its players' visas, and they are always at the discretion of the host country. We shared all relevant visa information and stayed in regular contact to support their process. Now, during this time, Basita had appointments where they failed to secure all visas on Friday, 16th of May. That's almost a month later, by the way. I'm not sure if that could have been faster or not, but it's like, that's a good amount of time. And
By the
final
way, is
deadline
is
to,
it is it Besita or Bestia?
oh, Bestia, sorry. I can't read. Bestia, you are right. Thank God
All
you
right.
corrected me. This is my eyes. They don't read correctly. Sometimes it goes wrong. Um, So on Friday, 16th of May, we issued a clear and final deadline to all teams with outstanding visa issues. Wednesday, 21st of May at 5 p.m. CST. By this time, all teams were expected to have secured visas for enough of their submitted roster in order to compete in the Austin Major. This deadline was put in place to help maintain competitive integrity and logistical event planning. You touched on the logistical event planning. Now, some people mentioned about FlyQuest not having a player with visa, Regali. He did get his after the deadline, but the difference here is their substitute player already had his visa, so they still had 5 players who were ready to play with their visas. So it wasn't a problem. That's why their
Yeah.
situation is not the same. So it says, as of the deadline, 2 of Bestia's players had not obtained the required visas, and as a result, we proceeded to confirm that they had not met the requirements to participate in the tournament and had to be replaced. The decision was made in line with the tournament participation agreement (TPA). While the relevant players subsequently did receive visas, there is no dispute that they were not in place in time to meet the required deadline. Accordingly, we had no choice but to uphold the rules of the tournament, which is what I spoke about, which all teams were aware of. You have to hold yourself to this, even if it's such a sad thing, even if it's
Yeah.
horrible. It is a matter of huge regret for everyone involved that this has resulted in Bestia not being able to compete at the Austin Major. We recognize the disappointment this news brings to fans and wider esports community. Now, at one point, I was completely feeling bad for Bestia, and I really wanted someone to be able to say, "Look, you've got your visas now. You can go. Sorry, Legacy." But once you've already said to Legacy they're going, and this was the date, and this
It's
was the
done.
rules set, it's done. There's no going back. And then also, we've had people from their community on multiple Twitter posts I'm tagged in, things are being tagged in, Instagram post spam of 3 hours, do something. If they think me as the host can do something, they're sorely mistaken because no one's going to listen to what I say. No one cares if I want to fight for this team or someone else. They had Fallen tweeting. Apex tweeting, I did retweet one tweet as well. It didn't change anything. It's a sad situation. Hopefully, their visas now are for a long time. This situation wouldn't happen again. And then there's the idiots, not from Bestia's community, but just idiots in general. Don't hold an event in America. There's been so minimal issues with visas. This is not the problem. America is hard to get visas for. It is a difficult country. But if you have it within the right time and you're getting stuff from the organizer, it's not as bad as people think. So don't
Yeah.
start saying we shouldn't go to events in America. And also, esports is much further along than we were 10 years ago when there was lots of visa problems. So it's not that bad. Like, it's not that deep, man.
If I'm not misremembering, was it that Bestia had like they had the actual like but meetings with the what do you even call embassy, like
Embassy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
scheduled for within the time frame or one day after or something like that, but it was a deadline for acquired visas essentially. And what's so sad about it is there's nothing to do with the players. I think everyone would love to have them there, but it does look like a little bit of an organizational fuck up where
Mhm.
there's been times where people on both lines haven't responded to each other or followed up on questions. Uh, so I'm probably sure. Well, I feel like I'm not
Yeah,
sure about this, but I feel like if there was proper communication and everything was in order, there can probably be a little bit more lenience towards an issue like this. But when things aren't being answered and you don't know what's going on,
yeah.
they will probably
Clear
rush to
communication.
this. Yeah, they will probably rush to this decision as it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. And this is where it gets tough. It's so sad. I feel bad for the players. It's a dream come true to make it. Um, I just will say, like, the whole see you in court thing, I don't think that's gonna work. It'd probably be a waste of money for both sides. I don't recommend it at all. Um, and
I
also,
mean, no, I
as
don't
far
think
as I understand it, even if Blast are saying this, right, they would have always gone to Valve for consultation on this as well. And Valve would have said to uphold the rules because that's how Valve are, in my opinion. So,
and you technically do agree to all the rules by participating in the tournament
yep,
anyway. So
yep, that's how it goes. That does bring us to the end of our episode. We got our Q&A from Discord. As always, for you guys at home, you can send in any questions and we will answer it at the end of every episode here on the All About Counter Strike podcast. I'm going to start with the first one today, Devil. It's from NVCJ. He says, hello, late night thoughts. Predictions for major winners. What is your opinion about major locations and constant visa issues? Well, I'll start with the constant visa issues. It's not constant visa issues, and it's not that much of a problem because there wasn't so many. Allzerk's one's completely different. His complexity of said has nothing to do with the tournament or the country. It's something personal with him. So he obviously has got a problem there that has to be dealt with. So that doesn't really count. Um, Visa issues in general can happen anywhere, even in China, but they could all be fixed in some way. It's all about just preparation and planning. We spoke about it a bit just gone if you listened
yeah,
earlier in the podcast. So I guess that's kind of covered for you. Predictions for major winners. Every time there is a huge favorite for a major, that favorite somehow stumbles in a playoff game. They often make playoffs and then they stumble, right? Last one was probably Phase 2022, where it was like no, I guess actually Vitality's one was probably the consistent one to win. Vitality 2023 Paris major. But it's like anyone's major it could be where someone's a huge favorite often ends up in disappointment. Copenhagen, everyone thought Spirit was going to win, didn't happen.
all the way
Um,
back to 2013, baby.
yep. Even when it started with you guys, Nip was supposed to win, Fnatic won. You know that's just the magic of the majors. That's the pressure of the major. That's the way it goes. I still think it'll be Vitality. It would be crazy if it could be Falcons. But remember, it's not a best of five because Valve have bad formats, and we really need that to change. But yeah, that's my predictions. What about yours, Devil?
Well, I think there's only four teams that could reasonably actually win the major. I think it's pretty much Vitality, Falcons, Mouse, and Spirit. I don't think anyone else really
You're putting
has what it
Spirit in there.
takes.
You're putting
Yeah,
Spirit in there.
and I think it all depends on when Vitality face Falcons, as it looks like right now. So let's
Hmm.
say that Falcons maybe claw their way into a playoff stage, Vitality go through cleanly. I do
Yep.
think that Falcons are probably the ones that could knock them out, if any of these teams. And I do think Spirit and Mouse can beat Falcons at any point in a tournament. So
Okay.
I think a lot of it rides on Falcons' performance and when they meet Vitality. But otherwise, I'd say Vitality uh, is a huge, huge, huge favorite to win it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I view it. It's I can't see any other kind of possibilities.
All right. Read out the next question for us then from our lovely regular.
Ooh. Our regular viewer Scourger sends his predictions for stage one and asks, "What's yours?" Also,
And
questioning whether there will be an in-person AACS podcast recording for Budapest.
so stage one, we did our predictions for it. We've done it on this episode, so hopefully you got that comparing it. He's actually posted his right here. So who's he put
Yeah, it's
through?
a picture, but
He's
it's too
put
small for me.
He's put 3-0 complexity and heroic, 3-1 wildcard, FlyQuest and bait, 3-2 bet boom, Lin Vision and Chinggis Warriors. What
Chinggis?
happened here? His 0-3 is Besita, or sorry, Bestia and Metasport, but obviously Bestia is not there, so I'll say
So it's
Legacy.
Legacy then.
Legacy and Metasport. He's put your boys in. He's put your boys in a 0-3, Devil. I think he's trying to tilt you.
Oh, I'm forced by Swedish regulations to put Metasport in there.
Swedish government,
Yeah,
they will take away all of your benefits from the
this is
country if you
by
do not
law.
go for them. Yeah, it was the same for Nip, but never for Fnatic. You didn't get the
I'll
same
lose my
treatment.
passport if I don't put them in there.
Did they threaten to take your passport from you when you beat NIP in games?
And many times.
Many times. See, look at the stress that Fnatic was under just because they were not
We
seen
were
as the real
barely Swedish
Swedes.
at that point.
Yeah, you were hated. Oh, we have to go and tell them stories one day. We really do. Dude, his is kind of wild though. Like he really put Chinggis, Lin Vision through, and not Tai Lu.
Well, to be fair, it's I think stage one is such,
Don't try reason with him.
no, but you just throw all the teams up in the air and you might catch a few, and those are the ones that's gonna go through. I
Yeah,
think
watch him
there
nail this. By
might
the way.
even be, these videos of
Hmm.
like a dog and there's two bowls and there's like one team on the other and depending on
Yeah,
where
yeah,
he
yeah.
goes, you do the pick'ems. That could probably be quite accurate for stage one.
Oh god, I'm gonna get my dog to do it then.
That's
We'll do that
content, man.
content. Snowy pics. Did you see what my wife did to my dog? By the way,
Is it the pink
the
ears?
pink, bro. I was
So
not
did
told
you
about
did
this.
you
It just
like
happened.
color the
So she went to like a groomer place, right? And they like did the coloring. It's just obviously safe for dogs or whatever. But yeah, they did the coloring. And I just looked and said, "What have you done to my girl? What have you done to my baby girl?" It's a picture on my Twitter for anyone interested. Just scroll
yeah.
down far enough. It's sad, sad times for my little dog. But that's what happens when you have a Ukrainian wife, I guess. You just have to accept these things. He also did ask what you mentioned it. Will there be an in-person podcast recording for Budapest? That's actually so smart of an idea. And I'll tell you, we are going to think about it. We're going to try and plan for it. That would be incredible. Let's do a live show for the All About Counter-Strike podcast.
Can invite
I think it's
Scourger to the
possible.
audience for audience questions.
Yes, the reg. He'll be the only one joining us, but we'll do it just for you, brother. No, I might have to speak to Starladder about that. That would be huge. That would actually be so cool. That'd be the one. Let's see. Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's not. We'll wait and see.
Could be,
Good
could be.
question, though. Good question. Well, that is episode 12, done and dusted of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. Thank you, as always, guys, for watching, for commenting. We're replying to as many comments as you can on YouTube, for watching for our audio-only listeners who don't have to look at our ugly faces the whole time. They
Yes.
are missing out on the devil walkthroughs, though, so go onto YouTube and check that out to see it, actually, because the audio probably doesn't really explain it as well.
It's
It
hard to
doesn't have the
explain.
it doesn't have the same effect. They're
No, it
just
doesn't.
listening in their cars, going
We
by
see here
like
Saivu smoking.
And they're just thinking, "Oh, I think those Irish smoke." Just casual. He doesn't smoke, by the way, but yeah. Um, but yeah, for all the support, all the people that come by regularly, everyone who's enjoying our different take on how to do a Counter Strike podcast. Remember, we said already, Hooksy is our guest for the next episode. Send your questions in on Discord. You won't want to miss this. It's gonna be another epic one. I'm really excited to be doing it and get into the history of what he's been doing, where he's going next, what he's been able to do with this Astralis. Devil, final thoughts?
Pickham's hard, Hooksy coming on, great. Love to kind of pick his mind, see what his thoughts are, see what he did during the break, how he got his individual level up so sharply. So there's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of interesting questions for him.
Oh, there is. Be ready for episode 13 coming later this week. Thank you very much for watching episode 12, and we'll see you on the next one.